Continuing with rectangles, what we're going to do today is learn how we can shade, and with the use of our eraser, we can give the illusion of glass. And also, what do we do to make something look three-dimensional and see-through? So if you would turn in your sketchbooks to page 14, you might notice that as you turn in your sketchbook and you draw, when you go to page 14, it may be because the back of 14 is your Nike shoebox, and as you draw onto page 14, the lead is probably going to get smudged into page 12. So to avoid that, if you have just a piece of paper at home, any kind of paper, and you can slide that into your sketchbook, that will catch some of that lead, that will help keep your sketchbook a bit neater. Lead does get smudged around a bit, but again, to keep it neater, that's the best thing I can think of to do. To begin with, we want to set up our glass fish tank. It's going to be a rectangle. So in setting up that rectangle, what I'd like you to do is draw a line for the side of your rectangle right here on your paper, and down here, again, I'm laying it there. I kind of look with my eyes. Does this look somewhat even and parallel? I want it to be. We're using a lot of our paper up today. Actually, it doesn't have to be quite that long. So I'm going to erase a little bit of that. So I want to go from here down and from here across. And I'm going to come up here, lay my straight edge on the side, and go across. Lay my straight edge on the side, and come down. And hopefully I have an equal rectangle. That's my goal. To 3D this rectangle, again, you've already done this. I'm going to lay my straight edge from this corner to this corner. And I notice that I didn't quite match up there. So I'm going to lay my straight edge here. To here. I'm going to give a nice diagonal. Now I want a diagonal this way, so I can practice the slide method again. Sliding down till I reach here. Now I'm going to practice the slide method here. I'm going to slide my straight edge this way. Come here. I think I moved. Need to try that again. Here, slide here. So I want 3 parallel diagonals. You might want to check those. That's important to make this item look three-dimensional. Yikes. I think I'm off a little bit. Just slightly. Again, very easy to get off. Just fix that. Erase the one you don't want. Right here. Slide across. Whoa. Way off there. That's why we sketch lightly, so we can get rid of lines, unwanted lines. Check it again just to be sure. Again, I'm going to slide down. It's always more difficult the further away my diagonal is. That one looks good. Right on. I'm just going to reinforce that. Over here. Over here. This one always seems to give me a little bit more trouble when I have to slide that direction. I would say it's pretty close. So pick now a line right here. I'm going to erase. Probably the easiest way to do this is a measurement. So lay my corner there. Measure where I dotted. Come down here, lay my corner there. Lay that on the diagonal line. Connect the lines. I could do the slide method. Hopefully I will end up in the same place. Voila, I do. So that's a good indicator. Whoops. The straight edge moved on me a little bit. I'm going to do the same thing. Sometimes I lose my measurements. Check it again. There's the measurement. This one always is a little bit more difficult. Here. Check it with the slide method. I lay it on the top edge and I slide up till I get to the corner. I would say pretty close. Moved on me as I was grabbing my pencil. Might want to draw that one light so you can check. You now have your 3D rectangle. Erase your overhang. Hopefully you drew rather lightly. And here goes our fish tank. So the front wall of our fish tank is right here. So in drawing this, what we're going to do is we are going to frame this fish tank out. So framing it out, I'm going to lay and notice a little bit of space here. I want to, in this front rectangle, I simply want to frame it out. Attempting to make it the same distance. Notice the white line. And for sake of confusion, I have a little bit of overdraw, not much. So I have framed out the front wall of my fish tank. I'm going to enlarge this so it's a bit easier to see. Now I want to indicate where my back fish tank lines are. So I am going to, as I was drawing the boxes that I could crawl into, it's the same sort of thing. My back line is going to come from here. I'm not going to go over the front of my fish tank, and I'm going to go down. I'm going to have a line here that it intersects and a line over here that also intersects. So to begin with, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my up and down line. So I lay it here, I draw a line, I lift my pencil, I come on the other side, because remember, I'm inside my fish tank now. So I draw down, I skip that little bitty space and continue down. I don't think I went quite far enough. Again, I'll sketch lightly in case I need to erase. Now, I'm going to come across from the back here of my tank. I'm going to come across. So I'm going to lay my straight edge right here. And I want to go parallel with my line. So I do not want to cut because the front of that fish tank frame. So notice I lift my pencil, I rejoin my pencil, and I come over and to where I intersect right there. So hopefully you can begin to see this fish tank developing in front of your eyes. Now I'm going to go from here to this intersection. And if you notice, it's split in the box almost diagonally as if I laid it all the way here. It may be off just a tid, not a big deal. And now I have the back line of my fish tank. So I have the bottom wall of my tank, I have the front of my tank, but I'm missing some parallel lines to thicken up my fish tank. First of all, when something's deeper back, which are the lines I just drew, I'm going to thicken those up and make those darker. So I think this works really good with a 6B pencil. So I am going to lift my pencil, lay it back in there, and I'm going to slightly shade that darker. I'm going to double this line. And I'm going to darken that in. And I am going to double this line back here. Whoops. Luckily that I'm going to lift, that's on my straight edge. And notice that I'm going to darken this in. I'm going to lift and leave that front frame of my glass fish tank. And you will notice how it starts to begin to develop in front of your eyes and give you the illusion that my dark lines are toward the back of my fish tank. Now what I'm missing is, because it's a glass fish tank, it's held together by wire, but I'm missing a line here, a line here, a line here, a line here. So we're going to double the walls of our fish tank. So to do that, basically, right here, this one is going to go parallel with that diagonal. So it goes parallel here. So I have my side. Then I'm going to put my parallel here. I'm inside my fish tank, inside. Go there. Now if you notice, this really is going to be two lines, one on each side. I see that I wasn't entirely parallel there. I need to double this line here. And now one more, and that would be the back wall. Oh, pencil just slid, don't like that. Whoops, here's a mistake. I know it seems like a little mistake, but it really makes a difference in your picture. My pencil just slid further than I wanted it to go, but I want to get it out of there, which might mean that I simply have to now, the thing to think about is what covers what when it comes to lines. So this comes here, this comes here. All righty. So I now have a rectangle that's three-dimensional, that is glass held together with metal side corners, should I say. But now what we need to do is fill the fish tank. Before we fill it with fish, we need to fill it with water. So looking at my tank, this is the front side of my tank. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this in here, and I'm going to draw, let's see here. I'm going to draw a line from here to here, but notice what I'm going to do with this line. I'm going to kind of wiggly, make it a wiggly sort of line. So we know that that indicates water for our own drawing purposes. Now I need to get my sidewall. So you see I lay this here and I lay this here, and that's going to be my wiggly water there. I lay this here. I then lay this back here. That's going to be my wiggly water here. Again, this is just, oops, I didn't go far enough. I need to go from my back wall to my back wall. And then a diagonal here. And you notice that it is a parallel diagonal. So what I've just done now is filled my fish tank up with water. I didn't just take a line and go, and don't do this, but I didn't take a line and just go, okay, My fish tank has water in it. Again, we're after a real illusion of water. So how you will see the water in your tank, got to get this what not to do line out of there. Hopefully you did not do that. You did a 3D effect to give you water. Now, our fish probably are going to be in this section of the water. I'm not going to take a ton of time to draw fish. I'm going to give you the time to do that. You'll also notice under Google Classroom materials, I've given you a bunch of pictures to look at regarding fish. But here are some things I want to show you. One is you want a background to your fish, something your fish swim around. So say that I want to do like a tunnel. I'm going to do my tunnel. And notice this, in my tunnel, it's something that they swim around or through. Notice, important line, if you want this tunnel to look like it's inside your tank, you will have to erase this back wall. Because you have to think about what's inside your tank covers what part of the back lines. So you might, inside here, do some shading. If you're really thinking of 3D, you're going to darken in the interior of the tunnel. To give the illusion that it is a tunnel where they crawl in, I'm going to, by the use of my lead, give the illusion that it's kind of a rocky rough. And how do I do that? I just simply do that with layering lead, making some areas dark, and taking my blender stick, of course, so I've got a rocky tunnel. Maybe behind my rocky tunnel, I want to put some seaweed. Again, I love 6B because I can put some lead here and then I can move it around. And I'm showing this rather quickly. Because you will be given some time to do that. I'm just setting up the framework. I've got to get some fish in here. Maybe at the bottom of my my tunnel, you know how often people in an aquarium, they sprinkle rocks. 6B makes some pretty fast rocks here. And that's what I like about 6B is you can use your lead thick rendering, go back in and get a whole different shade. Again, I'm going fast, but notice it looks like this tunnel is inside my tank because of me erasing the back walls. The other thing is I'd like you to put in some fish. So say that we have a big fish that goes like this, and it actually If I want to give the illusion that it's in the tank, notice my front line of my tank. What I do is I do not draw my lines through the front line of my tank. That's really important. What I probably should have done at the very, very beginning, but we will do it now. I'm just putting some details in a fish because I want to show you what happens if you want to make it look like your fish is truly in your tank. Maybe we have, let's see, let's put one of those little squid type things that come down. I want this to look like it's laying in the bottom of my tank. So I'm going to put some tentacles. But how do I make it look like it's there? It's a simple erasing of the back tank line that gives it the illusion that it's sitting inside the tank. And I'm trying to go quick. Maybe I want to put some rocks over here, some seaweed over here. My blender stick does wonders for me. But here's what I should have done as soon as I finished my tank and where my water was. And I apologize for not doing this, but what I should have done is shade it in to show the difference between my water and the top of my tank. So with a light rendering, I can do it now, but I should have probably done it earlier. Because that's totally filled up with water. And I want to take my paper towel and I want to rub my water. So what's really important is the tank lines, or should I say the metal lines, that hold that glass on your aquarium. We don't want water over the top of them. So we want to give the illusion of inside the tank by simply erasing back walls and covering so it looks like the stuff is sitting inside the tank. Now the glass appearance of the tank, super easy. Again, I'm going to show you here, just on the bottom of my sketchbook, what I'm doing is, here's my water. I rendered with my water. To give it a glass appearance, what I like to do is you might take a mechanical drawing pencil. Ups. I don't want to loop it around. That doesn't look real. So I don't want to loop that around. But I like to do three little lines right over what you've drawn. So basically, you're just going to very skinny, different size lines is you're going to draw with your eraser these little highlights that indicate that this is a glass tank and you can see it. So I'm going to write here is glass appearance by erasing. So that's how you're going to get the glass appearance, by erasing, and give illusion of inside of the tank by erasing or covering back lines. So by getting rid of the back lines with what you've put in your tank will give the illusion that stuff is actually sitting in your tank. And the glass is simple. If you have this kind of a pencil, you can just do 1, 2, 3, a 1, 2, 3, a 1, 2. Very quickly, I have overdone it right here. So I'm going to get rid of some of them by shading them in. You will notice in your materials, like I said earlier, on Google Classroom assignment, you will see that I've put a picture of some background objects that are fun to put in an aquarium or a fish tank. You will also see that I put a variety of different kinds of fish. So I've put a paper that looks like this. I've put one that looks like this. Put one that looks like this, which will give you a whole bunch of different ideas. Now keep in mind when you're doing your interior of your fish tank, you want it to be interesting. And remember, a good composition is items that are overlapping, items that are touching, items that are of different size. So those are all good things to remember when you are doing your composition inside your tank.